come from Devata. We're going to move on to our next panel, which is turning an idea to business. And this is going to be a very interesting panel, I am going to promise you, because this is going to be also a very, very inspirational panel of 4 very interesting entrepreneurs. We're going to invite first Garima Jain of Belita Retail Private Limited. So like I said, we're not going to read out the entire profiles, that will take the entire day today. But just to give you a little highlight, this young lady has started a business just 2 or 3 years ago. And in spite of that, we've invited her to be here because she's grown and scaled so well in just 2 or 3 years. 2 years to be more precise? So she's going to share her story. I'm not going to take the thunder from her. I'm going to invite Priyanka Bapna. Her brand is also called Priyanka. Priyanka is into garments, retail of garments, and Garima is into beauty services at your doorstep. Next, I'm going to invite Manisha Sangani. Manisha Sangani is the founder of Aspen Watches, which all of you would have heard and used at some point. And all these 3 interesting women are doing businesses which are very women-friendly businesses, so to say. Beauty, garments, and watches. So, we all love all these 3 things as consumers, and even to start businesses of our own. And last but not the least, I'm going to invite Geetika Kambli, Future Factory. Geetika is going to be moderating this session. She's also a core team member of TIE's 3 Shakti, and I'm going to request her to wear 2 hats today, 1 as a moderator and 2 as an entrepreneur, to share her own experience for the entire subject of turning an idea into business. Just want a show of hands again. How many people are in ideation stage as of now? They have some idea, but they don't know what to do with it. Wow. Okay. So over to you, Geetika, please.
Thanks, Dee. Thanks so much. So good morning to everybody and welcome for the first panel for the day. I know we've had a really highly invigorating, power-packed talk this morning. We're going to move to a more subtle, soft panel discussion. We have 3 very, very interesting stories sitting with me on my 1, 2, 3. I've had a chance to catch up with them very briefly just before, and they're 3 interesting business stories which started from simple business ideas and moved into something that was very, very successful. So let me welcome Manisha Sangani, Priyanka Bapna, and Garima Jain. The next 1 hour, actually I think we're going to try and make it a little less to catch up on lost time. It's going to be very interesting because we're going to ask them to share their internal personal stories and their journeys to see how they translated a simple idea into a business. Before that, we'll just take 5 minutes to really explain each of our stories to us. So let me start from the middle. So Priyanka, I hear your designs are amazing. Are you actually wearing one of your designs?
Yeah.
You are? Yeah. So what is it called? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I studied design from Sapphires and I specialize in printing of fabric, which most women or Indian women really don't care about. They only care about embroideries. So that was a big challenge, and I love printing. So I just print and print and print. Should I tell you the story also?
I think it's interesting. First of all, I must say that when I saw you wear this, I thought it was embroidered.
Yes, everyone thinks it's a weave. I like doing that, and sometimes I tell my buyers I should have charged you for the weaving because printing is much cheaper than weaving. So yeah, that's what Sapphires taught me, and they taught me very well. I started designing clothes for everyday women like me and everyone. I did not want to become a boutique, and I hate it when someone calls me a boutique. And I didn't want to become a up fashion designer, which is great. I wanted the common people to wear my clothes. So the first challenge was to, where do I sell it? I could not open a retail stores because I didn't have the capital. So I started with Bombay Swadeshi stores. They took my work, and then of course the retail industry grew. So I supply to all the stores, Pantaloon, Westside, Shoppers Stop. Brands are theirs, not mine. Doesn't matter. I enjoy seeing people wear my clothes. There are some people in this who are wearing my clothes. So it's okay, it's great.
Sounds interesting. It's actually very different because most boutiques, ouch, would prefer to sell exclusive designs, and what Priyanka's actually gone and done is exactly the opposite. She's made designs more mass. So we'll come back to that. But quickly, Manisha. Yes. Very interesting story. I spoke to her last night, and I always thought Aspen Watches was a Swiss brand or something like that. No, it's a brand you built yourself.
It's a brand I built myself. Just a quick story. Well, as you can see, I'm 49. I'm far older than the group that I'm sitting with, or Devita. I've been in business for a lot of years. I've created other brands for other people in India. We started with distribution for the Fossil Group, Fossil, DKNY, Armani, Kenneth Coles, Cargan, and we have a retail chain that's Just in Vogue that sells all these brands. 4 years ago, Fossil came in and said they're going to set up a subsidiary since I built the brand to a certain stature. There was a choice. We had 360 employees. What do? Suddenly, just let all of them down? And that's where I say, as a woman, 3 things that we own, because we've been mothers, we've been daughters, is that we have a strength within us. And if you stop feeling sorry for the situation, you can reach out to anything that you want. 3 things that worked all my life in all my different ventures. 1 was passion, 2nd was belief, 3rd is positivity. There, with 360 employees, I said, listen, we're going to do something. We're going to create a product. I ensure the turnover will not drop by a minute despite 100% of the business going down. I didn't even have the seed of Aspen at that moment 4 years ago. But what I did have, instead of feeling bad that they took the brand away, I learned a lot with them. I had the relations with them, and I needed their support if I wanted to create a watch within India where Titan has 40% of the market share. What I did was, instead of fighting a legal war with them, I said, you are taking a product that I built for 10 years. What we need is an additional margin within my retail, which got us funding in. I need the support of your factories, your vendors, to build a brand within India which would not compete. What happened was, I knew what the Indian women wanted. I knew what I wanted. It was a product. I mean, today all of us are sitting here. Unlike a black suit, a lot of us have colors. We have a little Western, we have ethnic. Indian women want a little bit more and the product. So there's a power bowl feeling and there's a feminine feeling. And that's what I created. With my jewelry background, I brought in Italian chains and I created and merged with watches. I brought in stones and colors to enhance your outfits. But more than anything, it was a feel-good factor. It was a thing that when you wore the product, it was not aspiration, it was comfort. And that's what...
Interesting, yeah. I think it's fantastic because really you've been able to build a brand with a very, very clear imagery in mind. And lots of questions for you. We keep coming back. Very quickly to Garima. I hear Belita is one of Thai's favorites. It's like the favorite child. I know everybody in Thai talks about how you were one of the women who came to the company and the platform for the first time, took a small idea and built something so wonderful out of it. Could you tell us a little bit about your story?
So, telling about Belita, we started 2 years back and we are still very young. It's a startup company. But yes, you said rightly, because it was born in Thai. I got my idea validated through Thai, especially Zangna was a great help, and who was the first one to really say, yes, Garima, you should do it. I mean, I'm sure this is going to work. So what actually happened is I'm from a finance background. I have 0 beauty degree. But yes, I am one of the Belita's biggest customer who was struggling in her life to even get the basic stuff done. And I believe gone are the days when beauty services was just a aspiration. It has become a need for every woman today. So just one fine night, I returned from my work around 9:30 in the evening, and there was nothing. I mean, I didn't have an energy to cook, and I realized, okay, what to do next. So just ordered for the pizza, Domino's, and they could deliver that in just 30 minutes time. And I yelled, "Oh my God! Why is there no beauty services for something like Domino's in India?" And I mean, my husband just said, "Why don't you start one?" And that whole night, I just couldn't sleep thinking about my idea. And then that's how. Then I started, like, for next 3 months. I started working on my idea, do a lot of research work. Got into the learning of beauty world because it was very, very new for me. And then one fine day, I made a spreadsheet and all, and I went to Thai and to Zankana and just told her, just please help me out. Should I take it next? She was like, there was one session in Thai wherein that was an idea validation session. In fact, the name, I still remember the name, Can I Dream Big? And that's how I started dreaming big. And just after this session, I didn't take time at all and just launched Belita the very next month.
So were you scared? I mean, a lot of us get ideas in the middle of the night, sometimes sitting on the pot. I mean, it's a different thing to say, you know what, I'm actually going to make this happen. And you have a very interesting background. I mean, you've been in commercial banking. Yeah?
Yes.
So that's like one of the top end professional careers, and to say I'm going to try something so different. Was it scary?
Yes. I mean, not scary, but it was challenging for me. Because I was just handling a department, and starting with your own business, and of course taking a risk of, leaving a set career is something that you really think about. But of course, I mean, what I believe is challenges as a part of life. You are into a business or any of these services. You just have to learn to find out way out, and of course meet a lot of people, bang on them, and just tell them, please help me out. In fact, even go and meet your competitors and tell them, okay, can you help me out? This is what I'm going to start. That's something that you should do, which we should not worry about at all. So that is something
That's interesting, yeah. I'm going to bring Priyanka into this. This is something that I think you mentioned to me, like in the morning. It's that most garment of fashion, apparel design, I think that's the right word. I'm a little uninitiated too. So apparel design would basically be B2C, right? I mean, a business that sells directly to the consumer. But in your case, because you private label it, it's actually B2B. So you would be selling to, let's say, the CEO of Pantaloons or Westside, and I can see through your profile that you actually managed to get a lot of them on your list. So, I mean, do you find yourself in a difficult situation? Do they say something? I've heard that they've told you something like, Dubai mein kaftan becho. Yeah? So do you actually do that?
No. No, I'm not good at that, so I don't do it. As she said earlier, do what you're good at. Don't outsource what you're good at to somebody else. That was so true. What happens here is I don't sell to the woman directly, but ultimately if the woman doesn't buy my product, I don't get the next order. So I have to convince the CEO also that my product is good and please place your bets on it, because my way of doing business is that they have to pay me if it sells or not. So that's a little safe way of doing business. But of course, every CEO is a man, if I'm not mistaken, and of course the buyers are not all men, and some of them come up with these vague ones that my wife doesn't think this is okay, or she thinks this is in trend next season. So there you have to be a little bit, no, I strongly believe this is what is going to sell. It's comfortable, smart, and you have to convince them. Sometimes they don't get convinced, but yeah, most of the times they do. And now that I've been with them for so many years, there's a little niche that I cater to. I stick to that. And then they keep buying from me.
So in a way, if I hear you right, what you're saying is that it's important to put the faith behind what you're standing for, and use that to convince the client that what you're standing for is something that's worthwhile.
Yeah. And besides the product, it's also the quality and the price and the deliverable. You have to deliver on time. We think clothes are not important, but with the marketing and the space and the advertising, it's a lot of money. I sometimes tell people, I'm not a doctor, I'm not saving lives. What is one day delay, but it is big now. So you have to deliver on time. You have to be a dependable vendor.
Yeah, so business is very demanding. I mean, doesn't matter where you're coming from. But you mentioned, yes, money. You mentioned money, and I'm going to just bring Manisha into this. I mean, I hear that Aspen is the number 12 watch brand. That's quite amazing, considering that brands spend so much money on advertising and on building themselves, and to actually put yourself right up there. Did it take a lot of money? Did it take a lot of time? How did you manage?
The first thing I realized and what I decided, the idea for Aspen was that it's for the mass of India. We wanted something that was good, a good product at a certain value. We did not have a lot of monies with us. What we decided was we had the relationship, so we put the brand, we negotiated with the Shopper Stop and Pantaloons and all the department stores, and we had the placement for the brand Aspen in 100 outlets in the beginning because we couldn't convince all. Thereafter, we started a advertisement campaign with Times of India, which was very small, which was just that there is a product to get the small dealers take the product in. Thereafter, what we had to do was incentivize the salespeople, and there was an educational pamphlet that was, and a competition that we did at the store where women were excited, where he said, it's a face of, and we started on Women's Day in 2008, and we said that...
So it's what fourth anniversary yesterday.
Fourth anniversary. And we said, what is your idea and story? And we said we will publish it within our own magazine. We did it that year. This is where a lot of people picked up the Aspen watch because we had a questionnaire on it and what they liked about it. That's how we built. We didn't have a lot of sales in 2008. It took us a long time to reach where we have reached now. We're competing. I mean, we are not beating the Titan, Casio, Guess, but we're beating a lot of other brands way below. Out of 40 brands, we've reached the 12th rank simply on the quality and product.
So marketing doesn't necessarily mean you need to be rich.
No.
Yeah. No. And in your case, it was interesting because you built marketing from the ground up. You actually, where the product was, is where you used marketing.
Yeah, we had the consumer go and look at the product, because when you're advertising big way with a lot of monies or a Bollywood actor, you're talking one product. There you got the consumer to look at all the products.
The range.
Yeah. The range.
Yeah. Garima, even for you, it must be difficult to do marketing. Do you see marketing as a media event that you bring in, or do you see it as something that your people will take through?
So for us, I mean, you're right. We didn't have any big money for to put in the marketing. But what we have done in our company is I personally ensure that each team member of Belita should understand the vision of the company, which is to make professional beauty services available and affordable for every woman in India. For that, our focus quality is the most important thing that we do, through which word of mouth and reference is possible, which is just one of the marketing activity we take up. So it's not just about the therapists who are who directly serve customers, but all the managers at the back just ensure that they understand what quality delivery is, and of course take care of delighting the customers on daily basis. So and ensure that they come to us.
So it's really the quality that you're bringing in that does the marketing for you.
Yes.
And it's like if one person experiences that quality, that's when you get more business from there.
True.
In your case, Priyanka, it's been very interesting because you've found a way to grow the business. I understand that we're actually telling you don't grow the business anymore. I know most people would love to be.
Mentors tell me, just stop it. You can't fund your business, so please don't grow so fast.
But so really, but you've managed to grow that business not by doing everything yourself. And when she mentions quality, and you're looking at outsourcing part of your business, keeping what's key inside, but outsourcing the rest, it still means you need to maintain that quality. How do you do that?
I have a great team. Very importantly, I have a great team which does not include my tailors, because I outsource all my stitching and printing and any texturizing of fabric. But my team consists of quality checkers, merchandisers, people who keep control and we have to be sure that we're not giving a product that is bleeding. I'm sure all of you all know 8 years back, if you bought a kurta, a white kurta with a red patti would bleed. 100%.
Happens sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. You can check my name on the tag, it won't be mine. So nowadays we're very particular. The Indian consumer is now very aware. We all have washing machines, so even if we're making Indian clothes, we don't want to make them only hand wash or only dry clean. So there's you have to take care. So we buy grey fabric and we dye it with our sources, we print it with our sources, and we stitch it through our sources. So everywhere you can keep a check on quality, which is really important. You may do 2 orders that do very well, you make a lot of money, but they are not good quality product, your 3rd order is not going to come to you.
Interesting, yeah. So I think this should be good for everyone to get an idea about what the businesses are and where we come from. I'm going to throw up 2 or 3 questions to whoever thinks we can address them, and then we can open it up to the audience. Do you have any personal? Did you see any personal challenges? I mean, it is a women's entrepreneurship forum, and even though we'd not like to think so, we are different from men. The kind of responsibilities, the kind of our view towards life often means a lot of balance. It often means that there are a mix of career and personal issues that we need to balance. And you've all made very successful businesses. So,
that's the first thing I'd like to say. You can't change that you're a woman. I'm an extremely emotional person, and I'm not shy of crying. And immediately after that, I tell the team that yes, I was touched by something. When I was talking about when the 350 employees, I had to cut them down, and 50% of them, I had to say, I cannot afford till I build up. Out of the 50%, I let down 180. 100 of them are back on board with me. And that was because I negotiated, I was fair, and I explained what my situation was. This is at business front. On personal front, all of us have situations within our life. I had a husband who needed someone to do certain things at home, but I negotiated from day one when I was working that both of us are working. Yes, we are running the house together, we have children together. We shared a lot of the housework together. Okay, United States is different from India, and I did not have staff in the beginning, but we literally brought our children up. Once we had the staff, men tend to lay back and sit down. You decide whether you have a lot of energy and accept it instead of getting upset. So this is a negotiation throughout your life you got to do. At 45, when I had to start a new brand, Aspen, I knew it would take a lot out of him. I had to bring my family in to understand that it was important. Yes, I did not need the finances, but there was something that I needed to do for my team and for myself. What I did was I started a focus group by my children, by my husband, where they got involved and excited when I seeded the idea and the brand. These are things where you're bringing the people around you to understand the product and get excited and give you the leeway on time. Again, at work or home, quality of time is more important than quantity of time. Today my daughter's getting married in 2 months. Same way, instead of my family, I had to speak to my business that from now on I have disappeared. When I come in, I'm a surprise act, I'm a ghost. You have to take the decisions. My email and telephone, SMS is available. You can contact me. Trust me, since 10 days, things have been going smooth. Yes, I have gone in 6 days out of those 10 to work, but there has not been an issue.
That's That's really amazing. Yes. Anybody else has something to add?
What I feel is for women, it's very, very difficult to hide our emotions. And for me, I mean, I get very, very emotional with every single complaint email or any customer inquiry for or probably a complaint for unattended calls. And whenever I come to know about it, I'm not able to hide, and I ensure that every team member of mine should know about it, that I'm upset and I just can't take it up. So probably, for men it's very different. They're like, okay, fine, it's just like in another customer on another order. But for me, every single complaint really, really, put me in that emotional situation.
I'm slightly different. I agree with the earlier speak. I think there's nothing to do with gender. It's a personality. I, as a personality, am emotional. I'm very, very particular about right and wrong. There is no halfway between it. Yeah, you need everyone's support. That you cannot do this without a support system. It could be husband, it could be father, it could be mother, friends, Sri Shakti, it could be anything. You need a support system to grow your business. So keep good people around you. But be very sure, don't get confused, you know. If I think this is wrong, it is wrong. And I could be emotional about it, I could swear about it, I could do what I want about it, but I don't disagree with what I said earlier.
So this is interesting because what we're getting is that everyone has an individual personality. And that could be gender specific, it could be gender non-specific. Yeah, so some people may be a little softer, a little more inclusive, some people may be a little more strict and a little more professional in their approach. But what's really important is that if you want it to succeed because you feel that you have obligations outside of work, that you need to get family involved. That's important. But it's interesting, I'll just tell you a little bit about my story. We run a product design consultancy. We help make new products, which is a tall order because we work with some of the biggest multinationals and Indian companies, and we help create the new range of products for them into the future. And I never really bothered about explaining that to my kid. He's 13 now, and last year he was talking to his principal and she said, "What does your mother do?" And he said, "I think she does accounts." And it's so very flattering. And I said, "Why the hell did you say do accounts? You know, I'm not even qualified to do accounts. We have 4-person account team behind, which is very large for a company of our size." And he says, "Because you're always talking about money." So, you know, I was really upset. I'm like you, Garima. I really got upset. And I was telling my husband, I said, it's very important that he understands what I do. If he thinks I'm just getting to work in the morning and sitting on a computer and making a few entries and then coming back, you know, that's when I'll probably get a lot more of his support. So, yeah, I think it's interesting to include your family and get them to appreciate what you're doing. So I'm going to tell him about today's forum when I go back. Okay, so we throw it up to the audience. Z, are we okay on time? Some questions, yeah? Please feel free to ask questions to anybody specifically or to open it up to the panel, but please ask. I had a chat in the morning as well. I think as a culture, we tend to have individual conversations and not ask questions in a group. You don't have time for individual conversations. And trust me, we're such a mix of people here. Many of us today have an idea that they want to get into some kind of business, don't even know what. So nothing is a stupid question. We're very happy to take them up. Yeah? Can we have a mic? One there. Please stand up. It makes it easier if you stand up.
Yeah, I just can say it without the mic. I'm hearing that we need to go forward in our venture. We need to have a good team. I always am at loss for how do we get that good team?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I have that problem. Yeah. The thing is about team. Hello. Hello. It's okay. I think most of them got it. It's about getting the team. Everybody talks, we have a good team, And I'm very envious of that because the good team is really a big challenge.
Yeah. So how does a company, if I can just add to that, how does a small company, a company that's growing, a company that's not like a Hindustan Lever or something, get the best team? Yeah? Anybody wants to add to that question? Is it a company that starts?
My husband would also crush pieces and tag them. My friends would, everyone did. Slowly you get people. You will be disappointed with people. It's okay. Some people you train really well and they leave you on SMS. This is the new thing. People leave on SMS. I can't believe it. At 40 I feel I'm really old now. People are leaving me on SMS. So it's okay. But there are some people who will stand by you. Please appreciate them. Please take care of them. Give them a part of your profits, keep them, and I once tried to get senior people in, And I said no, it didn't work. Gave her a great salary, but she didn't work. So I decided to make the junior people senior people and get more junior people in. So I think that works for me. Somewhere I think you need to make a family with your team. I disagree with the earlier lady. I think that you need to take care of cancer, HIV, mother-in-law, everything. Of course that should not harm your work. That's for sure.
Yeah, Garima?
Some interesting things that we did, 1 year back. Like I wanted to probably put some more senior people in the team, and so-called IIM graduates are known to be a performer and somebody who can take a challenge. So I didn't really opt for a traditional job post. I just wrote a paragraph in some of the job posting, like IIMjobs.in or I think Naukri also for that matter, that we are looking for somebody who is sick of the normal job, who's not liking the profile for which they have been placed from their colleges, and who is actually looking forward to accept a very different challenge in the life, and probably does not want to accept dash of the corporate, and of course looking forward to be a partner of a startup. And believe me, we got 289 CVs the very same day. Of course, in that out of 289 CVs, they were like, and I strictly wrote a line, I don't want anybody's resumes to be sent. So that's how people started writing about themselves and what they want, or what exactly they are doing, or what they are good at, or what is their passion in life. And that's how the screening started, and we luckily could hire good people from IIMs. Apart from that, like a few more things that we do is, to get a good team member, you have to be a very good salesman. So being a salesman doesn't you don't have to sell good things about the company, but just ensure that you share all the challenges of the company the day one. Third, no matter how good you get the CV or whatever is the list of the number, don't forget to take the references. That's really, really important. I mean, India is a world of good talkers. India is a place of good talkers. You'll find every nooker, you'll find somebody, copying the lines of Bollywood or politicians. So just don't ever, go by the face or by the words of the interview. It's not important that how well they articulate the interview, but few tests at every screening is very, very important that you would come to know. Also, few things that we have strictly decided is to make everybody solve a very simple P&L question in the company. Because everyone should understand the business, how the profit has to be taken out. Simple things like VAT or plus or minus of the it's like such a basic question. But believe me, when we started screening people with that question, there were like a lot of MBAs who could not solve it rightly. It was a simple P&L question. So from that very stage, and they are not allowed to even go for the interview. They have to first of all solve that problem and then enter into the interview room. So all few practical things really helps out a lot.
That's nice. Anything?
A lot of similar lines, but when you get someone, right, when I started 11 years ago in the watch business, people only knew Titan within this country and Swatch. So to sell a product to someone new, exactly, we had to tell them, show them a dream and show them a path of what you're capable of. The best way to look out is of course Naukri.com, but within the industry you want to go in, there's always a trade magazine. Put in an advertisement within that trade magazine.
Yes, that's a good idea. I'll just add a little bit. I agree with Priyanka. I can remember issues about a young girl who was working in the design studio, and she got some food allergy, and she said she couldn't breathe. And I know many instances where she would have been sent home, or a father would have got to bring her home. But I remember 4 people, including me, rushed her to the hospital, sat with her till almost 12:30, 1 o'clock in the night, because her mother wasn't home and her father was out of town. and made sure that she passed. I remember the doctor came up to me and said, we need somebody from the family to sign the responsibility form. And I said, I can't do that because I'm not family, but there was nobody else to do it without which she couldn't be taken in. So sometimes you do need to cross the line from being professional to being personal and include them into the family and make them part of you to be able to grow in your very, very early years. But also going forward, I agree with the panel to say that there are enough great people who don't want the corporate culture. Many of them. I left Hindustan Lever after I studied in Jawaharlal Bajaj in management and across the road and went to Levers and did work there. And it was a fairy tale story. And when I told my dad I was leaving the job and I wanted to start something on my own, I remember there was a minor panic attack in the family. They were like, are you okay? But the fact is, it's not cut out for everyone. And people want to express themselves. They want some informal work culture. So if you can promise them, like Garima said, if you can promise them a different work environment, if you can promise them freedom, if you can promise them responsibility instead of stress, work stress is everywhere, but in a different sense, you can probably get a team, but it is hard. It's something you're going to have to live with. Does that answer your question somewhat? Yeah? Okay? Yeah? Yeah?
When you do not have a lot of funds in the beginning, the first thing you do is after you show them the dream prospect, you ask them if the salary can be broken up into 3 segments. Salary, variable, which is paid every month if they deliver. You need to have your idea budgeted, and then there is an incentive which will help your finances.
Yeah, that's a nice way to do it. Yeah. Sorry, we have a question here? Yeah. There's someone behind you, sorry, before. Yeah?
Okay. Hi, I'm Prajakta here, and I think my question is more specific to Priyanka and Garima. When you start a new idea, especially Priyanka, you may have wanted to know where do you stand in the industry vis-a-vis where your idea will probably stand maybe a few years later. The kind of research that goes in, how do you manage that? Because when you don't have a seed capital, you don't know how to understand whether will this idea work. So how did you do that?
Okay, I started about 10 years back. Retail industry had not grown then. So I took an idea, I made my product and I took it to a store. And I said, do you think these clothes are worth keeping in your store? Into multiples. See, one piece melange ensemble will keep any time because it's on consignment. If it doesn't sell, they'll give it back to you. So you go to a person who's selling it ultimately for you. Obviously, the person sitting there knows the consumer. And you say, these are my samples. I never knew anyone. My card did not have my surname because I didn't want to go there because I'm so-and-so's daughter. And you just go there and your work has to speak for you. If your work is good enough, they will say, yeah, we like your product. Then can you deliver? That's the second challenge. First, you have to get your idea into a form and take it to the person you want to sell it to and just say, this is my product. Do you like it? Do you think it has a future? And then you see whether
you don't really need any fancy research to be done
not
before
at all.
the idea.
Not, at least for mine.
Manisha,
I'm sure there are a lot of things that need fancy research, but for women's clothing right now, I think I have an idea. Everyone will not like my clothes. That's obviously not going to happen. I have a niche. I know these people will like my clothes. I want more people to also like my clothes. Like embroideries, no, printing is also good. It's a big change. You'll spend 1,000 rupees on an embroidered kurta, but you won't spend 1,000 rupees on a printed kurta. So that takes a little time, and it took some time. But you have to be very sure of your product.
Thank you.
On the same way, depends on the product. I mean, when she did, her research was on the floor when she was comparing the product. If it's a product like something like what I wanted to start, the research was on Google. You go on to the Indian industry, you come to know what is agriculture, what is food. You also know the price points and what percentage is selling there. Why we launched Aspen in 2008 as women was that the women's watches was only around 30%. It was easier to fight with a smaller group rather than being a small fry in a large environment. We are launching men's this year because now we've reached a stage, but research is very important.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the theoretical answer to this. What business is a lot about risk, right? And at different levels, you have to manage different amounts of risk. I'm using the word fancy research, what you mentioned. it's important at a particular stage. But some amount of validation or testing is important throughout the process. So I think when Priyanka says you don't need a research, because she's saying she's pretty sure that her designs will connect to the consumer. But she does validate the business when she goes to the client and says, can you buy it? If you get one client, that's a validation. Yeah. And like Manisha said, sometimes you have to actually build the business validation. Can I survive this in this kind of margin? I mean, if I'm saying I'll make 20% margin because everybody else is making 15, is that viable? How will that happen? So it's not necessarily consumer research, but it can be a lot of others. The important thing is you must reduce your risk at whatever level you can by the amount of effort and money you can afford to spend at that point. Does that? I know it's theoretical, but you should try and do that.
Thanks.
Yes? Z, how many questions can we take? Do we have time for 2 more? 1 more? Okay. Can I please take 2? Because there's a lady in the front also who's been trying, and then we'll take your question. We'll break for lunch. We're all here. The panel is prepared to mingle. So, yes.
See, especially this question was Garima. Is like, basically Priyanka and Manisha still they had some background with watches, and Priyanka with clothing. But when you talk about Garima, the beauty industry which you have not been actually aware of, the research you can actually do on Google and get your facts right. But what after that? How did you actually take the process ahead? Because we all do research and it gets to a certain point where you don't know how to take it ahead.
So how do you start? What do you do after that one night when you stayed awake?
Okay, of course, it started with a lot of Googling, to know about the industry, what's the rate that it is growing with, and who all are the major players, who all are the competitors. So one thing that I realized is there are set of traditional salons, there are freelancers available in the market. So I could see that the need is there. I could see a lot of women, expecting mothers, pregnant women suffering from that. I mean, they had a restriction of mobility, so I could see the pain point there. I could see a lot of working women struggling like me to really match up with a salon traditional timings. Like in Belita, we serve right from 6:30 in the morning till 9:30 in the evening. So a few more things that I met a lot of people in the industry. In fact, not just in the industry, but also I went and met a lot of people who are not from their industry, but they have taken up a challenge to really do something which they have not done. For example, I really want to mention an example of a recent come up food chain, Fasos, if you have heard. So even the co-founder of Fasos is not from the food industry at all, and a Bengali doing a business is a very different thing. That is what is a traditional thought. So I happened to meet a lot of people in that 3 months. Met a lot of people in Thai as well. And then when finally when the business was launched, the very first month I made sure that I met first 100 customers myself, because they are somebody who would actually teach you what to be done in the business. So if it's B2B, just ensure that some numbers probably first 10 customers or first 20 customers you meet personally and take their feedback, what exactly they are looking for. And then of course in B2C, I mean, that was the list that I've already shared. So that really helps. Apart from that, you can hire few of the marketing interns from the interns from the colleges. You just have to sell your idea, sell your dream, and convince them to work with them. And of course, offer a lot of pizza on weekly basis and and make them work for you. So that helps a lot. But research is important for sure.
Okay, does that help you? Yeah. Yes. The final question, please.
I want to know how price sensitive is the Indian consumer,
So can you tell us a little about what you have in mind, what you're talking about, what kind of product, what kind of
apparel, basically,
apparel.
If you're having a good quality, but does the pricing also have an impact on when they are buying?
Yeah. Are you talking about very daily wear?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that help you?
Yeah. The price is really important.
Yeah. So, I mean, to what extent, for example, if you've developed your own brand and your old design, do you stand for a certain amount of margin that you
Yes,
will?
you do. There's a price to your idea also. There's a price to the quality of the product. There's a price to the look of the product. And if you're doing branding, which I think is what she wants to do, then there's a price to your brand also. So it's not a profit margin, there's a price attached to it. So then you will obviously take a bigger profit margin than someone like me who supplies in bulk.
So if I can just add to that, and maybe the panel can help, would you then say that it's not the price that they're sensitive to, but the value? And the Indian consumer is very value sensitive. So if you actually go out to buy even kanda and batata, you'll argue about $4. It's not going to change your life. But you think he's cheating you, right? So women, especially on apparels, on daily wear, yeah? Anyone to add there?
Yeah, basically you have to decide where you want to be. From the day one, I was very sure I want to make Belita services like electricity and water connection for every woman in India. So I knew that I have to be affordable and then work out on my costing whether it is possible to be affordable or not. So that is something you have to do.
In the beginning, the value is very important. You got to build the brand. If it's a brand, if it's a product you're selling, it's different because you're getting more customers, and then you decide whether it's affordable for your P&L and take the call forward 3 years later.
Okay.
Just one.
See, your call. Okay, so I'm going to take one question, and then I'm going to request you to please come and approach the panel. Can we also have some of our email addresses? Right. Garima, you started on your own with Ties Help.
Yes.
Can you address that question?
I didn't have much money from my father to put it. So first, of course, I'm first generation entrepreneur in my family. So friends, we call it a 3Fs, friends, family, and so you first, of course, you have to just see from where all you can dig in your savings, from where and all you can convince your people around, and you have to make partner at every stage in your life, be it your friend or family. You have to show them, okay, if I do this, this would be the return for you. So just ensure that you do it at every stage.
I remember Garima telling me, I'm going to tell them that. I remember her telling me that she won the scholarship, the Goldman Sachs scholarship, right?
Yes.
And they got funding at that point. They presented the business plan and they won that funding. And she said it came at the absolute right time because she'd spent all her PF by that time on all the salaries, right? So it's always difficult, but there are enough examples, and I think I would encourage you to meet the Thai group also here. I mean, that's the whole idea here, that there are people who are willing to help, everyone on the top as well. Have there been any questions from the top? No. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Sorry, Z, she's going to shoot me if I don't give this to her.
Okay. Geetika, one more question. Talking of first-time entrepreneurs and the kind of business you want to do, of course, there's a lot of risk. But my question to the panel is, there are people who might think of going for a franchisee, as a first-time entrepreneur, then start off by themselves, considering the financial, requirements that may come. So what are your thoughts on that, and how should one address it?
Okay, well, before we hand that out, there was a doctor in the panel who met me in the morning, yeah. There are many businesses which are different, which are run as independent practices, and I was talking to her in the morning, she was telling me about how today doctors are chains of stores. And clearly it's the same thought, right? It's a franchisee business that carries the same name. So a franchisee essentially means that you're talking about a brand and a certain promise from that brand that delivers quality at each point. And it's a very useful way to grow, but it means that you need to have that brand to start with. So if Priyanka, Garima can talk about how they've ensured the quality and what their opinion is on this.
So as of now, we have not started franchisee, but something that we recently did is to give. So we started making managers of all the branches, logistics centers that we have. We have in fact called up all the comeback women to become a manager of that store. So that if, and probably who doesn't want to take immediate risk or doesn't want to really follow up a franchisee model kind of a thing. So, and we will train them on Belita processes. We see how they can work well and probably take up probably some partner in the profitability of that particular logistics center. So we call up all those women like who really want to come back in the career, or probably is interested to start something on their own, or probably at least try out with handling one of the logistics centers of ours. So I probably, if I can just tell them, do get in touch with me. I'll share my email ID for that.
Okay. Anybody else?
I am under the impression that if you have an idea, then you'll get finance from somewhere. When you're doing a franchising business, it's someone else's idea that you're building. It's not yours forever. And when you franchise, you still have to put money in, and you have to get the funds from somewhere. That's all.
Yeah. So there are two things. One is whether you as an entrepreneur take up a franchise, or whether you as an entrepreneur to grow your business start the franchisee model to grow your business. I think that's what we've tried to bring up here. So sorry about this. I know I'm very, very happy. I think on behalf of the entire panel, let me thank you before you thank the panel, because it's been interesting to have so many questions come up. Please join us at the end. I think we just circulate 1 second and just let everybody know our email IDs so you can reach us. So mine is Geetika, Geetika @futurefactory.in. Please write me freely. We can get back with any kind of advice that you may need.
You know what we could do? Probably at the end of this session, we'll try to compile a slide with all the email IDs. It'll be a little easier for everyone. So we'll kind of collate this over lunch and flash it for you just after lunch. Yeah?
Can we have one photograph with the panel, please? Just one photograph with the panel. Ridhima?
Okay, so while the picture is being clicked, I'm going to request Kanan and Nupur, please come and thank our panelists here. And I completely feel this panel has been brilliant in terms of sharing their experience, their stories. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kanan. Thank you, Nupur. Thank you, Geetika, and thank you, friends.